The Idries Shah Foundation podcast. Practical Psychology for Today. Featuring the works of Idries Shah, voiced by David Ault. Welcome to the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we will hear selections from Oriental Magic by Idries Shah. This audio has been made available by the Idries Shah Foundation. Chapter 10. Calling the Spirits. Abjad, Hawaz, Huti, come thou spirit, for I am Solomon, son of David, commander of the jinn and men. Come, or I will imprison thee in a metal flask. Abu Hijab's Calendar of Genies. The belief in the existence of spirits and other formidable forces is only one step from the desire to call them, bind them, and make them do the sorcerer's bidding. It is customary, at least among older writers, to divide this spiritism into groups or subjects for the purposes of study. One might say that spirits can be distinguished as good and evil, as human souls and those who have never had a corporeal form. Again, some spirits are made to appear in human, some in animal, others in more alarming shapes. But this method of examining spirits, if you consider it well, does little to contribute towards actual knowledge of the art. What is interesting is that evocation itself, whether Christian, Buddhist, Arab, Egyptian or Chaldean, comes within an accepted framework of method and ideas. There is the consecration of the operator, his implements, if any, and, generally, the magical circle. There is the actual invocation and the evocation. When the spirit has appeared, there follows the phase of command or inquiry. Finally comes the inevitable license to depart, without which the operator may be harmed by the apparition. Two things are often considered indispensable: some connection with death or the dead, and the possession of words of power. A great part of the importance and interest of spirit calling from our point of view is because a very large part of almost all magic is dependent upon spirit aid, whether it be curse, blessing, or merely magical power over and beyond that held by others. One might even define magic as the alleged art of gaining power through supernatural or spirit powers. Hence spirits, or some hitherto unidentified force conveniently so termed, form the very heart of magic, whether ceremonial, popular, or superstitious. It is generally overlooked that spiritualism, the evocation of the spirits of the dead, as known in Europe and modern America, is only one branch of magic, a branch which is traditionally exercised by witch doctors in Africa, tribal Amerindians, and shamanic operators in China and Japan, not to mention a score of other communities. The raising of spirits, especially those of dead relatives, is supposed to need much dedication and preparation. While it has always been conceded that there are some, like modern mediums, to whom such powers come more easily, yet it is sometimes forgotten that the books of the magicians give detailed accounts of the procedure, which can be followed even by ordinary people. It was considered necessary sometimes in processes attributed to the Chaldeans to know the birth date of the person to be evoked. If a horoscope were available, so much the better. This meant that the spirit could be called in the names of the planets which presided over his birth, and at the very hour at which the birth took place. Next, the evocant meditated in complete seclusion for a period of up to 48 hours. A clear, bright day was chosen. Then, in some place given over to the practice of magic, the magician generally used his own room or some cave or ruined place of worship, the magical circle was described. Within its 6-foot diameter was the taboo space which sheltered the magician, and which no interrupting evil genius could cross. In the circle, often written within a concentric ring, the name of God was written in chalk on the ground. In Hebrew and later rituals, this sometimes took the form of a continuous chain of words like Agla, Elohim, Adonai, or Alpha, Omega, Tetragrammaton. Inside the circle, too, are kept the instruments of art. These include oil, a sword with names such as the foregoing inscribed thereon, and a burning brazier for fumigation. The incense is chosen to coincide with the angel of the planet to be invoked. All true magicians were expected to know words of power to call the spirits, abracadabras like Sabaoth from the Hebrew, or Abraxas from the Gnostics, and Anrehakatha Satayu, Senentuta Batet Satayu from ancient Egyptian papyri. When the magician has taken his place within the circle and thrown incense on the fire, making sure that he has with him a pentacle or seal of Solomon as a protection, he would intone the following type of call. This one is taken from a Greco-Egyptian magical book, translated by Goodwin. I call upon thee that didst create the earth and bones, and all flesh and all spirit, that didst establish the sea and that shakest the heavens, that didst divide the light from the darkness, the great regulative mind that disposeth everything, eye of the world, spirit of spirits, God of gods, the Lord of the spirits, Lord of spirits, the immovable Aeon, Ayahui, hear my voice. I call upon thee, the ruler of the gods, high thundering Zeus, Zeus, King, Adonai, Lord, Ayahui. I am he that invokes thee in the Syrian tongue, the great god Zalea, Ifu. Do thou not disregard the Hebrew appellation, Ablanthanalb, Abrasiloa. For I am Silthakuch, Lailam, Blasaloth, Iau, Io, Nebuth, Sabiotha, Both, Arabathio, Iath, Sabaoth, Pature, Zagore, Baruch Adonai, Eloi, Iabram, Babaru, Nau, Sif. The advantage of this spell, we are told, is that it compels the spirit to listen to the instructions of the sorcerer and to carry out his wishes. Other advantages are that it chains, blinds, brings dreams, creates favour. It may be used in common for what you will. This spell is also interesting because of the mixed content of Hebrew, Greek, Syriac, and other words. Another process says that the exorcist should stand within his circle, consecrate it by dedicating the whole experiment in a suitable speech, and then call upon the good spirit that he wishes to appear. When he is sure that he is concentrating well and that no other thought is in his mind, he must address the spirit in a low voice. First, he must call his name thrice, and promise that no harm shall befall him. Then the spirit should appear. Wait for him for the space of a full minute, and if the spirit does not appear, repeat the invocation. Pray earnestly during the period of waiting. If the spirit does not materialize within 5 minutes, strong invocations can be made. If the spirit appears, greet him courteously, saying how glad you are to welcome him, and ask him to help you with your problems. The spirit will then tell the operator the best times to contact him, and may give a thought name, which is used to summon him. Some writers say that he must be asked to sign his name in a book of the spirits, and to give his sign as well. Should you by any ill chance raise an evil spirit, the word bust will cause him to disappear. This is a word of ancient Egyptian origin, and will make him go without causing any harm. It is said to be important to ask the spirit to become your guardian angel, and do not leave the circle for 2 whole minutes after the spirit's departure. Then say a prayer of thankfulness that he came and went and promised to help you, exactly as you had desired when preparing for his coming. Destroy the circle and the figures, lest a devil or any of his familiars use it against you, which they can do easily. If the circle be not destroyed and an elemental spirit uses it, the former user will never again be able to raise good spirits. Perhaps the oldest record of the formula for consecrating a circle is the following, taken from the Assyrian Surpu series of tablets. Ban, ban, barrier that none can pass, barrier of the gods that none may break, barrier of heaven and earth that none can change, which no god may annul, nor god nor man can loose, a snare without escape set for evil, a net whence none can issue forth spread for evil. Whether it be evil spirit, or evil demon, or evil ghost, or evil devil, or evil god, or evil fiend, or hag demon, or ghoul, or robber sprite, or phantom, or night wraith, or handmaid of the phantom, or evil plague, or fever sickness, or unclean disease, which hath attacked the shining waters of Ea, may the snare of Ea catch it, or which hath assailed the meal of Nisaba, may the net of Nisaba entrap it, or which hath broken the barrier, let not the barrier of the gods, the barrier of heaven and earth, let it go free, or which reverenceth not the great gods, may the great gods entrap it, may the great gods curse it, or which attacketh the house, into a closed dwelling may they cause it to enter, or which circleth round about, into a place without escape may they bring it, or which is shut in by the house door, into a house without exit may they cause it to enter, or that which passeth the door and bolt, with door and bolt a bar immovable may they withhold it, or which bloweth in at a threshold and hinge, or which forceth a way through bar and latch, like water may they pour it out, like a goblet may they dash it in pieces, like a tile may they break it, or which passeth over the wall, its wing may they cut off, or which lieth in a chamber, its throat may they cut, or which looketh in at a side chamber, its face may they smite, or which muttereth in a chamber, its mouth may they shut, or which roameth loose in an upper chamber, with a basin without opening may they cover it, or which at dawn is darkened, at dawn to a place of sunrise may they take it. What if no spirit appears, even after repeated concentration? Most books do not envisage the possibility. One of them, however, tells us that the failure means that some mistake or omission has to be remedied. The experiment may be repeated again and again until successful. The dynastic and probably pre-dynastic Egyptians, the Babylonians and Assyrians believed that the soul could return to earth. Under certain circumstances, too, it could re-inhabit the body. Elaborate magical ceremonies were practiced in order that the soul should be happy and should not need to return, thus becoming an uneasy spirit. These spirits were invoked, and it was thought that they could be used in magical rituals. In a similar way, the spirits of revered but departed witch doctors are conjured to give advice to their tribes in times of stress in many parts of Africa, especially the central portion of the continent. Their bones have been preserved and soaked in the blood of the newly dead, mixed with honey, milk, and perfumes. This is supposed to cause the soul to return to the earth, just as the ceremonies of the spirits were carried out in Egypt in the pyramid burial places. So elsewhere are grave and churchyards, or the place where death has taken a violent form, specially revered as sites for this kind of exorcism. Spirits other than those of the dead may be raised in a similar manner. The following Christianized consecration of a circle is typical of the Chaldeo-Semitic rites. After the circle is made, the invocant intones, "In the name of the holy, blessed, and glorious Trinity, proceed we to our work, in these mysteries to accomplish that which we desire. We therefore, in the names aforesaid, consecrate this piece of ground for our defence, so that no spirit whatsoever shall be able to break these boundaries, neither be able to cause injury nor detriment to any here assembled. It was usual for magicians to be accompanied by one or more helpers. But that they may be compelled to stand before the circle, and answer truly our demands, so far as it pleaseth him who liveth for ever and ever, and who says, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. I am the first and the last, who am living and was dead, and behold, I live for ever and ever, and I have the keys of death and hell. Bless, O Lord, this creature of the earth wherein we stand. The earth, like all other elements, has its own spirit, referred to as the creature of earth. Confirm, O God, thy strength in us, so that neither the adversary nor any evil thing may cause us to fail, through the merit of Christ. Amen. A certain amount of information, however, must be at the disposal of the magician, apart from the invocations and words of power. There are, for a start, the names of the hours. These, as given in one Western magical text, form a strange mixture of Arabic, Semitic, and Egyptian names, together with some Greek. They are as follows, and it is probable that they are in fact the names of the spirits of the hours. The first hour of the day is Yain, and of the night is Beron. The second hour of the day is Janor, and of the night is Barol. The third hour of the day is Nasina, of the night is Thami. The fourth hour of the day is Salah, and of the night is Atha. The fifth hour of the day is Sadedali, and of the night is Methon. The sixth hour of the day is Thamur, and of the night is Rana. The seventh hour of the day is Aura, and of the night is Netos. The eighth hour of the day is Thami, and of the night is Tafrei. The ninth hour of the day is Neron, and of the night is Sasur. The 10th hour of the day is Jaon, and of the night is Agle. The 11th hour of the day is Abai, and of the night is Kaleva. The 12th hour of the day is Natalon, and of the night is Salam. These names are memorized, and the appropriate one is inscribed within the outer concentric circle of evocation, together with words of power, the name of the season, and the name of the archangel of the hour. The names of the seasons are said to be equivalent to the names of the angels of the seasons. Spring, Karakasa, with Kore, Amatiel, Komisoros. Summer comes under Gargatel, Tariel, and Gariel. 2 angels rule autumn, Tarquam and Guabarel. Winter completes the cycle with Anabael and the angel Setarari. Is evocation to be performed in spring? If so, the sign of spring should be included in the circle and invocations, as well as the name of the earth in spring and the names of the sun and moon in that season. 4 additional sets of information are now needed. The name of the sign in spring, Spugliguel, the name of the earth in spring, Amadai, the name of the sun in spring, Abraim, the name of the moon in spring, Agusita. The name of the earth in summer, Festativi, in autumn, Rabinana, in winter, Jeremiah. The name of the sun in summer, Athene, in autumn, Abragini, in winter, Komutov. The name of the moon in summer, Armatus, in autumn, Mastasignaeis, in winter, Aphaterin. The sign of autumn is Torquaret, the sign of summer is Tubiel, the sign of winter is Atarib. Having mastered these important names, the magician purifies himself with this prayer. Thou shalt purge me with hyssop, O Lord, and I shall be clean. Thou shalt wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. The circle is next sprinkled with the correct perfume, which will be described later, and the exorcist drapes himself in a white linen cloak fastened back and front. At the moment of vestment, he says, Ansor, Amakon, Amadis, Theodonias, Aniton. By the merits of the angels, O Lord, I will put on the garment of salvation, that this which I desire I may bring to effect, through thee, the most holy Adonai, whose kingdom endureth for ever and ever. Amen. The Christianized text which we are following, while retaining most of the ritualistic marks of Semitic and other systems, yet has added the warnings that those who desire wealth and power, or anything material for themselves, will not be able to raise spirits. This is not, however, the established view. First, the heart and mind must be cleansed of desires, and if the ability be used at any time towards selfish and personal ends, the power is thereby renounced. Only those with the ability to touch the heights know this. In necromancy, we find the magic circle and words of power still in use. The procedure is very much the same in both types of process. When the Asian sorcerer Chiankungi and his witch sister Napala raised evil spirits, they commanded Bokim to appear and give them his infernal aid. They draped a deep cave in black and then drew the circle, with 7 thrones and a like number of planets inscribed in it. Even for these notorious sorcerers, it took months before Bokim actually appeared. When he did, he guaranteed them 155 years of extra life, and many other boons beside. As the selling of the soul theory is not so well known in the East, the only penalty that the sorcerers were expected to pay was that they would serve the demon for that period. In their work, as in most invocation spells, they made free use of perfumes and other fumigations. When the planet involved was Saturn, that is, when the operation was in the hour or day of Saturn, the perfume thrown on the brazier was pepper, with musk and frankincense. When this was burning, spirits in the form of cats or wolves should be seen. Jupiter required offerings of peacock feathers, a swallow, and a piece of lapis lazuli. Their ashes were then added to the blood of a stork. Spirits of Jupiter had the appearance of kings, accompanied by trumpeters. Under Mars, the fire was fed with aromatic gum, sandalwood and frankincense, myrrh and the blood of a black cat. For the sun, musk, amber, frankincense, myrrh, saffron, cloves, laurel and cinnamon were mixed with the brain of an eagle and the blood of a white cock, formed into balls and placed on the flames. The sacrifice of the white cock was the opening ceremony of the quarterly gathering of the witches as late as the 17th century in Europe. The heart fell to the witch who could perform the greatest act of sorcery. This organ, it was said, was the open sesame to many experiments. Stuck with pins and roasted, it immunized the witch from discovery and denunciation. Reduced to ashes, it sold to witches for as much as 2 gold pieces. Apart from its use in witch brews, it was also eaten, we are told, by the cat familiars of the witch to preserve the woman from Satan's clutches. Spirits raised under the aegis of Venus demanded spermaceti, roses, coral, aloes, mixed with the brains and blood of a white pigeon. It will be seen that many of the above-named items are familiar in various occult practices. Mercury called for frankincense, mixed with the brain of a fox. The fires were to be made far from the habitations of men. Moon spirits were thought to be the most difficult to propitiate. They appeared as ghosts in filmy, transparent draperies, with pale and luminous faces. For them the fire needed poppy seed, dried frogs, camphor, frankincense, and the eyes of bulls mixed with blood. The method of calling Luridan. Magicians are credited with the power to call the spirit Luridan, king of the north, by a method which, though Celtic, seems to have been derived, probably in very early times, from Semitic magic. 2 concentric circles are drawn in chalk on a moonlit night in a lonely valley. The outer circle must be at least 18 feet in diameter, and the inner one a foot smaller. 2 snakeskins are worn as a girdle, and 2 more in the cap. All 4 must hang down at the back. One side of the circle must have inscribed beside it a fiery mountain, and around the mountain must be written these names: Glauron, cross; Opotok, cross; Balkin, cross; Opotok, cross; Arthin, cross; Opotok, cross; Snaknan, cross; Nala, cross; Opotok. The mountain must then be consecrated with the words Olfron and Epheraton, Baron Barathon, Nahalge Tur Hila, cross, cross, cross. It is supposed that the last 3 crosses indicate the making of the sign of the cross. After this has been done, the sorcerer should hear awful noises of swords clanking, trumpets sounding, and so on. Then 4 dwarfs will appear, speaking in Erse, which, however, they will translate, presumably if asked. They are to be asked if they know Luridan, and will reply in the affirmative. Luridan will then appear in the form of a dwarf. Luridan, we are told in another text, saith that he is an astral spirit who dwelt in Jerusalem at the time of King Solomon. Now the sorcerer has to bind Luridan, get him into his power, by invoking the great names that he has already used. He must give the mage a scroll inscribed with mystic signs, which is a contract to serve the adept for a year and a day. The sorcerer then dismisses the dwarf spirit, giving him the famous license to depart, and the spirit goes away. If the license is not pronounced, the apparition was believed to give untold trouble to everyone, and especially to the sorcerer, and a point is generally made of this in magical texts. It is said that this process will also serve for the invocation of the spirits Rahuniel, Saraphiel, Mainiel, and Franciel. They are rulers of the north. They will come when called by a magician who is equipped with a parchment bearing the 2 secret seals of the earth. If he is wearing a bearskin, with the fur turned inside, next to his own skin. This podcast is copyright 2018, the Idries Shah Foundation.